Hey everyone. Haven't done a video for a while, so I figured we'd do one so you know what's going on. Tell you what happened. So like I said last week, we were in Poland. Warsaw now has a quarter of their population are Ukrainian refugees. So we decided to start heading west to Spain, because of course Spain has hopefully some work for me, especially work for me, the English teaching and everything, and I just wanted to go somewhere on the Mediterranean where we could just relax for a while. So this video today, I'm just going to talk about what it's like to be kind of a refugee taking trains across Europe trying to find a place, because there's now about 2 million people. This, by the way, is a village outside of Barcelona, where the Red Cross has put us up in a very nice hotel, paid for completely by the Red Cross, by your donations. There's got to be, there's hundreds, just in our hotel alone, there's hundreds of Ukrainian refugees being put up for we don't know how long. So anyways, I'll talk about the Red Cross in a bit. So like I said, from Warsaw, I haven't messaged in a while because of course you got to imagine the stress of taking these trains. Through all of Europe now, for all Ukrainian refugees, it's free, right? So we can go anywhere we want to, and it's provided for free by the governments in Germany, France, anywhere, right? But of course, you get what you pay for. So when you take a free train, you might have to wait a little bit longer. The route might not be quite as good as you want it to be, but you're not exactly going to complain. It's free, right? So we went from Warsaw. We took the train from Warsaw to Berlin. It was fairly good. In Berlin train station, there's Red Cross everywhere. They took us to this very large room where there were thousands of Ukrainian refugees. They gave us free soup, free everything, while we waited for a train further west to France, with a connection in, I think it was Mannheim. 6 hours in this room with all these Ukrainian, with all the other refugees. Get back on the train again, another 3-4 hours, 5 hours on the train. We arrive in this little city, I think it was Mannheim, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Next train from there to Paris is 9 o'clock in the morning, so 6 hours in this train station all night, no heating, nothing open, just sitting in this tiny little place in this station. All the other people, basically. So Maria, of course, she got really sick from it. They're sleeping. Of course, I'm not sleeping because, of course, there's a lot of bad people. And this is a pretty nice view, by the way. What do you think of this? Welcome to the Mediterranean. So, like I said, we took the train from there. From Mannheim, I actually fucked up the trains. I got on the train. It was the wrong train because in Germany they're so efficient that they have the same platform every 20 minutes. Another train. So a train comes in, train comes out. So I'm living in Ukraine. I'm used to a train coming early. You're like, oh, it's 3 trains early. Okay, get on. We have all these suitcases. Can you imagine our entire life is in these suitcases? So we get on this train. The train leaves perfectly on time. Guy comes with the tickets. He goes, "This is the wrong train. What are you doing?" "Oh my God, this is good. Can't you see?" It's like, fuck. So we ended up in Frankfurt. From Frankfurt, I had to get new tickets to Paris. The funny part was, of course, we were going to Barcelona, so I asked him, why can't we just get a ticket to Barcelona? And the German ticket agent, he tells me that the reason is that the French are doing it a different way than the Germans and everyone else. Surprise, surprise, right? And so they have these special trains for Ukrainian refugees in France to send the refugees where they want to go. So I was laughing. I'm like, in Germany, you should not talk about Ukrainian refugees in special trains going across Europe. Historically, it's not exactly a good word. Special trains taking them everywhere. Anyways, so we get into Paris. Red Cross is there again. They help us get a ticket to Barcelona. They wanted to put us up, of course, but it was a big gymnasium basically with all these bunk beds. I said no, because of course I've slept about an hour. Maria and Toivo slept about 4 hours, in 2 days. So we rented a hotel. And yes, Mom, I forgot my computer in the hotel. So not my passport this time going to Barcelona, just my computer. But it's getting sent here. Sleep that night, see the Eiffel Tower, sleep. Next day, so this is like the day 3, Poland to Barcelona. Day 3, get back on the trains. Red Cross is there once again. The whole way, food provided on the trains. Nice train. Get to Barcelona, Red Cross is waiting for us. The moment we get into Barcelona, we say, okay, we're looking for accommodations. So yeah, take all the group of Ukrainians who are looking for a place to stay. Come with us, take us to a palace in Barcelona. This room in this palace, and wait for them to find a hotel room for us. So we've got, like I said, we're south of Barcelona, in this village. We don't know how long we're going to be here because so that's what it takes. 3 days, about 3 hours of sleep. Just in these train stations, everywhere, just to get across. Of course, you're just riding this wave of people. Basically, we're all heading west, right? And the wave, of course, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave Poland when we did, was because I could see the wave was even getting bigger. So, I do like surfing, right? So it's like, you want the first wave, you don't want to be on the last wave, because then you're really fucked. But we get here, Red Cross is not just finding us a place to stay in a hotel with 3 meals provided for us for free. They also said, don't even bother with talking to the government. We'll process your refugee application and stuff. And people could kind of wondering, why do we need this refugee stuff to be processed? It's because, of course, we need to work and we need to live in a place for a long time if the war continues. You can't do that as a tourist or someone who's renting a place for a month or 2 months, right? And in fact, even if the moment we rented something means we automatically lose our status, which means then we're done, then we have nowhere to go basically except Canada, which we can't go to because, of course, Maria's family in Ukraine. So like I said, that's a trip, and so now we're just waiting on the paperwork. But there's just so many people. I don't think, especially if you're American or Canadian, you have no idea of just how much effort and work goes into the Europeans helping the Ukrainians. And I'm not saying this is a negative, it's just the prices, for example, for gas. In Spain, there's a huge strike. The truck drivers aren't going because the price here of gas has gone so much they can't even afford to drive their trucks to bring, anything across Spain, right? It costs them more to drive it than it does for them to send the stuff. So they're on strike. And then just accommodation. So one of the other things was, we're looking at an Airbnb monthly rental, and you can do it yourself. Go Airbnb monthly rental and just go through Europe. Think of what is the cheapest place you can imagine in Europe, and look for a monthly rental, and you will find nothing under $2,000, which is South Coast Portugal, this isn't even the busy season. You could get a place normally for about $600. But of course now all the rentals have been taken up. It's going to get worse, of course, in tourist season, but we'll see, because of course, anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so now it's a process, but even the processing now, about 4 days before we arrived, they had, they could process the refugee status for Ukrainians in about, it was looking at April, beginning of April, the paperwork will be done. Now they're saying our paperwork will probably be the middle of July, just to process. And this is a fast track, right? It's not just the Spanish, it's every country, just so many people doing this. This is why, by the way, they're fast tracking. It's not racist, you idiots. It's not because they're white. It's because of the fact that, first of all, they genuinely need the help. What is not mentioned is Syrians did need to be refugees, but in some countries like Sweden, 90% of the Syrian refugees were not Syrians. They were from everywhere else in the Middle East and in Africa. And they were, you know, they were just there because their country was poorer than Sweden. You know, that's the difference. That's why there was a very good European person also who said is that, by the way, also the other thing is, in a lot of those countries like Afghanistan and Syria, there are terrorists. So they cannot just fast track people from a country without finding out, do you need it, or are you here to blow up the Eiffel Tower? Ukraine has no terrorists. Once again, this is not a white, it's not a racial thing, it's a logical thing. Okay? But yeah, so that's what it's like right now. It's a refugee here in Europe. We're going to see what's going to happen, and hopefully things will get better after. But looking at the news, of course, you're seeing, I think this war is going to be a while, right? Because, of course, Putin cannot lose, and Putin is not winning. So if you saw the news these days, they're now changing to phase 2, Eastern Europe now. So phase 1, they've said, is mostly successful. Can you imagine? 15,000 Russian soldiers dead, body bags being thrown on tanks as they lose, but that's their successful first phase because they cannot admit they failed. And then phase 2 will be, they said it's going to be the Donbass region. The problem is, and the reason why I think this war will continue, is Ukraine will not surrender the Donbass region or any of the lands they've already taken, like Kherson, Mariupol. I believe that will be a non-starter for Zelensky, and of course it will be, because he's winning. The longer this goes, unfortunately for the Ukrainians, the better it is now, because the Russians clearly cannot win. They don't have the forces to actually defeat the Ukrainians. Now, do the Ukrainians have the forces to defeat the Russians? I'm probably not. But what we do have is the ability to strangle them and choke them and send body bags back to Russia, to the point where hopefully someone one day will put a bullet through Putin's head. And I think that's what everyone's waiting for. So until then, of course, we will be sitting here, probably in Spain, waiting for the war to end. With love. Gracias para eso, para el momento. Now I can finally. Ahora yo hablo en español y me gusta porque yo no hablo en español mucho tiempo y necesito mucho practicar para eso. Pero gracias, muy gracias. Chao.